So I remember getting an email and looking at the PDF and seeing how much our agency was actually worth to someone else. And I remember going, oh my God, someone wants to buy something that I started from nothing, that I started by accident. I think all of us start our agents by accident, right? We knew how to do something cool. Someone offered us money for it, right? And then years later, someone wants to buy it. And I remember looking at it and going, oh my God. And I remember this happened to us several times throughout the year. And the first time I said no. I was like, I love what I'm doing, and I value my company a lot more than that. But then 12 years went by, and I was like, holy cow, that's a lot. And it was enticing. And I thought I could do something even bigger. I didn't know what I wanted to do after. And I want all that for you guys as well. But the sad stat is, if there was 400 people in this room, only one person would sell their agency for a profit. Look, there's lots of people that sell their agency to their employees, or they don't sell it for a profit, they'd actually lose money. But there's a small stat, and I don't want that for you guys, and I want to go over some things with you that can help you go through this process. Is that fair? Okay? Who can tell me what this is? Any guesses? No one knows, right? Let me tell you, this is how you look at your business right now, okay? And this might be how your competition and your competitors and your clients and your vendors and everybody else looks at your competition. But if you step back, you would notice that it's an elephant, okay? Meaning you have to step back from your business. How many times are we working in the business and we don't realize what we need to do? We're just got the blinders on. And then someone comes along and they go, do this. And you're like, oh, wow, that works. So I want you guys to think about, how can I step away, step back from the business so I can see a little bit clearer? Now, before I get into increasing your valuation, I want to talk about what are the reasons why someone would actually buy you, right? The first reason is someone wants to grow faster by acquisition rather than growing organic, right? You know how to do something really cool, and they don't want to learn it, and they want to go faster. Other parts, and this is a lot less I see in the industry, is geographic, regions of why to buy you guys, right? So you're thinking, I'm in Europe, I want to sell more in the States. So I come over, I want to buy this agency, I want to get the fast growth, and I want to get these clients, right? The other ones is they want to go after more of the dollar, the peso, the euro, whatever, right? They want to get more. They have 80% of the market for that one particular service, but if they bolt on this one particular service, they can get 20% more, right? That's what happened with us. They wanted more of that piece of the pie. We were a digital agency. We did creative. We did web development. We built sites like LegalZoom, Hitachi, AT&T. And the company that bought us was more of a business intelligence agency. And so by bolting it on, now we could go after the whole dollar rather than everything else. And it's real important to understand, why are people buying your agency? So then you can control the valuation. Because usually you want to say no to the first couple offers. I said no to the first couple offers that keep getting better and better. One of my friends that runs Pardot said no to 50 million, 75 million, and settled with 100 million. I was like, you should have worked my deal. Now I want to talk about the elements of a sale, right? So everybody always thinks there's cash, right? I'm going to get the cash. And I want to tell you, be happy with the cash, because all the other stuff won't happen, okay? Happened to me. But there's also equity in the new company, which is great. When I sold my company, I had to do a 2-year tour of duty with them. Or in the event that we sold the agency again, which we sold to a NASDAQ or a public company on the NASDAQ. So I was able to get out of the tour of duty 9 months later. And so we had 2 exits. So look for that equity in the new company if they're going to sell quickly. If they're not going to sell quickly, don't do it. It's not worth it, right? The other one is an executive role. I had an executive role. I was a highest paid meeting coordinator you've ever met. And if you're building something that you truly believe in, then it's fun. I didn't like it, right? So what I would tell you is, don't look for the executive role. Look for something else to do after. And then the last thing, and there's a lot of other elements, is an earnout. Do not do an earnout. You will never see it unless it's a personal guarantee. I did an earnout, and it cost me millions. I'm happy with what we got, but I wanted to tell you this because when I was going through the acquisition, I couldn't tell anybody, right? And a lot of you guys won't tell anybody. So, and I don't read many books. So I was like, yeah, great, we'll do an earnout, and never saw it. So don't do an earnout. So you're probably wondering, what questions do I ask a buyer, okay? And it's real important to say, why are you interested in actually buying us? You have to determine, why do they want to buy you? And really ask those questions why a lot of times. And once you figure that out, you need to make sure it matches with their vision to what you have. You know, we had an amazing culture, and I wanted to make sure they had an amazing culture, and they believed in the same things we believed in. Because if I was staying with the entity, I needed to have that. I needed to make sure I was putting my people in the right place so we could hit all the deliverables and we could do the things together. I would also ask, what other types of agencies are they actually chatting with? And ask why. And also ask, what types, or have they ever gone through this? And this is important. And this is something I wish I did. I could have went to the other agencies that they bought and said, hey, what would you have done different? And what did you do right? And then I could have said, I could have understood, like, don't do the earnout, or get that as a personal guarantee. And hopefully all of you guys know that. Don't do any earnouts. And then also, you need to figure out, what do they tie into the eventual success? Like, how are they going to measure success? Just like with clients, right? How are they going to measure success? And it has to measure to the same success you guys have as well. How many people have had people approach them to buy? Yeah, a lot of you guys. And a lot of times when this happens, people are just probing and they want to know what you're doing. And they're going to just say, you know, hey, tell me everything you can. And they're trying to figure out the secret sauce that makes you secret. And you don't want to tell them everything. You only, until you get to the letter of intent. And I'll go through that in a little bit. But I would tell them the full count of how many employees we had. You know, we had over 114 employees. I would tell them our gross revenue. I would tell them our net revenue. And I would tell them our major clients. But I wouldn't, if you're working with a lot of small businesses, I wouldn't give them a whole list of all your clients. A lot of people do that. And now you're just giving them, hey, these are all the small clients you can call, and just call the CEO, and you could steal them. And that's what happens a lot. There's a lot of dishonest people, unfortunately. So we would only tell them, hey, we work with AT&T and Hitachi and those. And yeah, they wouldn't be able to go after them because there's so many different layers to go after. And then I would tell them what kind of work that we actually do. Whatever they ask you, ask them for back. If they ask you for the revenue, they're evaluating you just as much as you're evaluating them. You have to make sure that they can actually afford you or afford to give you money. You don't want to work with someone that is all their clients hate each other, or the clients hate them. You want to make sure you ask the right questions. All right, so let's talk about increasing your valuation. So the first one is all about profitability. There's so many agencies that come to me and they're so proud that they're $10 million, but their profitability is 0. Or everybody always, like I remember I was talking to all my agency friends, and they'd be like, oh, I'm a $5 million company. I'm like, who cares? How profitable are you? It's all about profit, and that's what people care about because that's your cash flow. That's how you can actually grow. And one of the biggest things I see with agencies is they're underpricing themselves. You guys do not value yourself as much as you think you should. And I think the biggest problem is you haven't really looked at the value you provide to your clients. And one of the easiest ways to come up with pricing for what you deliver is look at the value and really intimately understand the value you're giving to someone, average it up over the past 6 months and divide it by 10. So then you can look to that client and say, without a doubt, we can do a 10x result for you. And that's the first way. The other way, I would do it based on expectations, okay? So, for example, if I had a Ferrari, don't drive a Ferrari, I don't want to be fashy. If I sold you a Ferrari, and I said it's $100, would you be like, what are you thinking? What's wrong with it? Is it fake? Is it a Matchbox car, right? That's what happened to me when I pitched Berkshire Hathaway for a $5,000 website. They were expecting $200,000. I was just too stupid to not know who Berkshire Hathaway was. So figure out their expectations first, so you're not pitching them a Matchbox Ferrari, because they're going to think something's wrong. So stop underpricing. The other thing is stop over-servicing. Whenever I see agencies raise their price, they always think, I need to over-deliver on services. I need to give them this much, this much, this much, even more. You don't need to do that. You need to deliver the results that they need, and then when they start asking for stuff outside of it, start saying, hey, that's a great thing we can do for you. It's X to do. Don't let them run all over you, and stop over-servicing. Increase your sales. Look for ways to get more of the similar services that you're doing. It's not about looking at, if you want to grow and have rapid growth, it's not about adding another service. It's about doing that one really well and getting even more sales and constantly building that pipeline in order to grow. And then obviously, this should go without saying, look at your expenses. Lower your expenses. There's so much wasteful spending when I start working with an agency. I'm like, dude, get rid of that. You don't need that. Get rid of that. Audit your expenses, and I think you'll see a major difference in your profit. Now, the average service-based business in the US is at 32% profit margin. When I talk to agencies, they think 10 to 15% is good. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, for a smaller agency, that's easier. I'm a bigger agency. Still the same thing. We were over 13.1 million, and we were a 45% profit margin. Okay? So as the bigger you get, you can still increase your profit margin. But you have to look at what you're charging, your expenses, make sure you're not over-servicing. Because profit is the #1 driver for increasing your valuation. The other one is stop trading time for money. I always laugh when I see people, and I can laugh because I used to do this dumb shit. I used to be like, yeah, you know, we're going to charge you $150 an hour. And we just kept trying to increase the hours. And then what we saw happening was as we got faster and faster and more efficient, we were losing profit. We weren't losing money. We were losing profit. Because it's just like that, what's that one analogy where the person comes in and fixes the refrigerator, they spend 5 minutes, they charge $500, the lady goes to him and goes, you're ripping me off. He's like, no, here's the invoice. Here's $100 for turning the right screw, or $400 for turning the right screw, right? And the other one is just doing it. So just think about that. The other thing is think about your intellectual properties. We built a lot of software over the years, right? And we didn't maintain that software, but if you maintain that software, you can increase your things. But most of the time when people buy you, they're buying your current contracts. I'm going to give you one thing that you should do to all your contracts. Make sure you put in there you can transfer the contract without written permission. Most agencies are bought through an asset purchase. They're not buying your liability, so it's going to be quicker going through an acquisition. And this is more for agencies under 10 million. Other than that, you're going to be bought everything. But on your current contract, so for example, if someone came to buy you today and they wanted 50 of your contracts, and 10 of them, if they did not come with you, they would leave. They would say, you have to go to them, get them to sign this agreement that you can transfer this agreement, so now you're putting your cards out on the table to your best clients. And then if the deal doesn't happen, you're screwed. The other thing I'm going to tell you, do not take your foot off the fucking gas with the sales. Do not do it. I see it all the time. People get so crazy about, oh, what can I spend the millions on? What kind of jet or what kind of stupid house or Ferrari that I can sell for $100 later on? And they just think about the money and they take their foot off the gas. And then if the deal doesn't happen, crash. The company goes away. Think about the repeatable processes. That's intellectual property. Go back to why people buy you and buy agencies. They want to learn it quicker than organically. So what are your repeatable processes? What are your assets? Do you own the building? Do you own whatever it is, the different softwares that we have? Also, the other thing I see a lot is don't put all your eggs in one basket. If there's a high concentration of one client, and that client, something happens to them, your valuation is going to go way down. They're going to see that, and they're going to treat that as a risk. So make sure you diversify. I remember when we would get a huge retainer from like Porsche or Lotus, I would be like, crap, we got to work our ass off in order to get more. And I'd use that as motivation because anytime we would go 20% of revenue in one client, that was a risk. It's good in the short term. Long run, bad. The other thing is they want to make sure that you're increasing your revenue year over year. So a lot of times what they're going to do is look at the past 3 years. They're going to see the track record. If you have a stagnant growth, they're going to be like, you've kind of plateaued. And then you're going to say, well, if we can bolt on to you, we can help you with that. It's going to decrease your valuation. The last thing I'm going to tell you, have a niche. It's so important. You have to have that specialization, that competitive edge, that thing that separates you from all the other Me Too agencies. All agencies look similar. Most agencies look similar. It's because we all look like everybody else. We keep copying everything that we're doing. And the way to separate yourself is to pick a niche, market to that niche. You still can take on work outside of that niche, but market differently. Stop looking at your competition. Your competition is cat videos and procrastination. Okay? Start looking at it differently. I'd like to do some Q&A. I think I have like 3 minutes. And then if we run out of time, I'll go in the back and we can ask some questions. Yeah. Yeah. So the question is what's a good kind of formula in order to come up with what you're worth? You kind of set me up. I'll pay you later. I'll kind of give you a breakdown of it in a second. If you go here and text this number, I'll send you the formula for the valuation. Just make sure you put valuation all lowercase. But it's based on growth and profitability, and the sliding scale is anywhere from about 3% of EBITDA, and EBITDA is earnings before interest and taxes, not dividends and that kind of stuff, and growth. And so it could go all the way up to, I think in the chart we had around 17, depending on if you were at this certain margins. Now it's just a baseline to give to you, okay? It's what someone's willing to pay and what someone's willing to give up. So right now I have 2 agencies that are looking to buy people, and they'll pay them 5 times of EBITDA over the 2 years, and it's guaranteed. So they'll pay them half right now, and then half a year later. And then hopefully they'll have an executive role and that kind of stuff. So just to give you kind of a general sense. Unfortunately, service-based businesses aren't worth as much as a SaaS company. Like my friend that did Pardot, that was a huge bump up. But when you're thinking about selling your agency, I want you to think, yeah, the cash up front's good, but could I use this as an incubator to grow their things? I was like everybody. I thought the grass was greener on the other side. I'd be like, I'm going to sell my agency, and I'm going to go do an iPhone app, because that's when everything was big on the iPhone app. Did it and realized the grass is greener on the side I water. I hated it. I was like, I can't take pictures of stuff I eat. This is stupid. I can't market it. And I was just lucky that my competition reached out in the past. Was like, can you help me with this? And I loved it. So hopefully that answers your question. Any other questions? I saw a couple. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Hi. My name is Harry. I own a company called Fullcast. We do done-for-you podcast production. Great. So I'm curious, because I'm thinking about both sides of the equation as well, just maybe being acquired, but also there's smaller agencies that do something that are like just the editors or something as we build up our agency. So do the same principles apply in reverse as well?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just have to have the idea of what are people looking at to give you yourself a valuation, and then figure out, is that number worth me? And then what do I need to work on? So when we first had people coming to us and I kept saying no to them, I realized what they were looking at. And it was these 5 things that I just went through with you guys. And then I was like, I need to work on profit. I need to work on the growth. So if you're at a point where the past 3 years have been kind of stagnant or went down a little bit, then I would think about that. Cool? All right. We're out of questions. They're kind of going to cut my mic off. If you have questions, I'll be right over there right after. All right, guys. Thanks.